I don't know. I associate it with a level of discomfort because these places weren't exactly usable. We young people at the time carved out Williamsburg, Lower East Side, Canal, even Chat Square, Chinatown, to ways we could possibly inhabit it. So there was a level of unease there because, like, are we welcome? Are we not welcome? Is this going to last? Is there danger? Um, and then it got really safe, and I still enjoyed it. But it was about nice hamburgers and $15 drinks, and by that time, I think the blueprint of hipsterdom had been drafted, and we were just following that.
Yeah, I agree. So in my mind, a lot of this confusion is because places outside of New York, LA, Atlanta, maybe Chicago, Milwaukee, larger cities, didn't really have a distinct hipster scene because they didn't have an art kid scene. That was kind of the crux of it. It was an art kid scene, and then that brought in skaters and graffiti artists and whoever. And that was just sort of this kind of overlapping universe of young people in a city who were, yes, throwing parties, doing drugs, wilding out. But if your city didn't have those groups, you might have not associated the word hipster with anything until like Brooklyn aesthetic rolled in. It's like
That's what we're talking, right?
That's what I'm saying the conflation is. I think it's Brooklyn aesthetic to some people is hipster shit because Brooklyn was associated with hipsters.
Yeah.
But they aren't the same thing.
This is your correct Times Square take, right? Like, I can go on and on about how that was an active, creative place forever. But Times Square describes that neighborhood specifically within a framing of a few years. And I can't bring back the past. And like, I remember when I moved to New York, I lived in a building that Lee Quinones had tagged over, like murals, commissioned. And I remember talking to him. He'd be like, "You young kids, man, you don't know shit." He's a really nice guy. But it's like, we've been doing this stuff since the 70s and 80s, It's just like, I was a consultant for these projects. Like, I paved the way for you now to like inhabit the Lower East Side, which is rough to me, but to him is like, this ain't rough anymore. And, Ben Solomon would, his idiom that we love, it's just like, well, when was it good? You just keep on going back in time. It's like horse and carriages and the 1890s when the Dutch settlements, happened.
Oh, wait, you weren't even around for 5 points? Like, you Bill, the butcher.
Right.
Yeah. So my man Tweed, I mean boss Tweed. We were hanging over by like when there was 4 points. We were here.
Yo, was I chilling with your girl Mary? Typhoid Mary. She's crazy, man. She's crazy.
I actually had typhoid before Typhoid Mary brought.
What you got isn't quite typhoid. I had typhoid.
The real typhoid?
Yeah, but I'm being insufferable here. But I think your point about Times Square kind of carries through to this idea of hipster stuff. Because by the time Williamsburg becomes a place where our generation started hanging out and creating businesses and nights there, that's what they mean by hipster, right? And it was a derogatory term. It was just like, you motherfuckers.
Yeah, that was funny to me because amongst the other tweets I saw, I'm sorry, X, the everything app, there was another take that was like, we called ourselves hipsters with pride. I'm like, that's not true. That's a goddamn lie. That's a goddamn lie.
Take it back.
And it just became a catch-all for everything, and it meant nothing. We've talked about this forever. But to me, now I will use it in a way that I never did back then, solely as a descriptor. Let's have bar like, I don't know, that's some hipster shit.
Okay. Oh, it does the job. It does the job, right?
But I would never say that about a place where the bartender had suspenders unless it was Spam, R.I.P.
My guy Spam, bartender for the Hugs party. But rest in peace. Do you think the word hipster is too broad? It seems like people are using it to describe everything that isn't like a suit and tie business establishment. It's like, oh, that's a hipster spot. I'm like, that's just a bakery, man. It's like, well, don't you see that someone has tattoos in there? I'm like, those are just tattoos, dude. They're doing focaccia. Like, what are you talking
Yeah,
about?
one of those tattoos is of a bird, and it's
Yeah,
high end focaccia. That's hipster as hell.
yeah. It's just like, oh, these IPAs, hipster stuff. I'm like, everywhere has IPA now. Are you just talking about like Keen Steakhouse or the old timey places that haven't adapted? Because if you think a mixed cocktail, an IPA, and a tattoo is hipster stuff, this is just the world.
You've seen this hipster ass coach at the Nets? He's wearing performance fleece.
Look at that joker ass hipster coaching the Atlanta Hawks. Go back to
Yikes.
Williamsburg.
All right, hipster with your red glasses.